Alright, hello, greetings, and welcome everyone to this news video. I am the Ninjaneer. The topics we are covering today are as follows. Aptera's Q4, going above and beyond. Zaptera is rolling along. The only one. HOVTera. Not one, but two Tesla stories that are related, and things that I liked. Let's get started. Alright, so here we go for the full year's 2025 financial results. Yeah, we're just going to kind of go down the list here a little bit because the main points that are important, they just kind of summarized at the top. How nice of them. So, we have a net loss of $15.5 million for Aptera this year. Q4 is a 15 million loss, and then the net loss for the entire year is 43.9 million. So their burn rate has kind of stabilized, basically, based on what I've been able to glean from the other pieces of information that I've been able to find. They have an adjusted net loss of 8.7 million, blah, 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 blah. Fun things there. Just letting you know that this document exists, really, because I did not want to do a full-on in-depth talk about this particular piece of information, and the actual document for the filing that they put in actually gives more detail and better detail if you would like to know that sort of thing. But yeah, you can see they have charts. Charts are nice. I love charts. Let me see. They have the business update and liquidity. A lot of this stuff is good to know if you want to kind of skim through it and read it and things like that. They have the statements, the looking forwards, the forward-looking statements and all that kind of fun stuff, which is fairly common when companies start reporting because they've become part of the NASDAQ or any other stock market situation. So we're starting to see things that are, in my opinion, very encouraging in the sense that Aptera is getting, Aptera has come right in line with what the other companies do with respect to reporting. They did a pretty good job on reporting everything well and accurately. Heck, they did a great job, which makes me think that they had help specifically for this thing, maybe perhaps from the folks at NASDAQ or something like that to help them out to get rolling, that kind of thing. I don't know how common that is, but it just feels that way because of, the fact that they did such a good job. It could also be the fact that they've been doing reports like this, or beginning to start doing reports like this for more than, the time that they've been doing them. The time that they've been on the market. So, yeah. Long story short, there's a lot that you can make of this report. I suggest you make what you can of the report from the actual report, but this article does exist as a summary. Alright, so as we move into the, the less hobbling phase of our current administration, they are starting to push to make things less and less safe. I don't know what this administration, or, well, not just this administration, but this administration specifically seems a little more gung-ho about it than previous administrations of the Republican Party, but they are, dismantling really, really good, important things that they shouldn't be dismantling, and it is kind of terrible to watch. But long story short, there was a law that was put in place that said that diesel trucks had to meet certain requirements for emissions, and everything that you could do to your tailpipe that made the emissions less safe, that whole delete thing where they spew death and destruction all over the place. I don't know what they call it anymore. Rolling coal or whatever they decided to call it. Anyway, that whole thing was actually an illegal add-on to vehicles, as far as I can understand it, based on the legislation that they are trying to push here, that will no longer be illegal. So, prepare to get coal rolled all the time just because they feel like it if this law passes. I'm not a fan, as you can probably guess, of this particular law because of the way that it could affect everything. Yeah. Anyway, on a more happy note, we're going to go ahead and go to the next story. The Zaptera lawsuit actually has moved on a little bit, has moved forward a little bit, and I do mean a little bit. This guy, Fear the Creeper, there's so many different ways to interpret that name. I'm going to choose to interpret it as the Creeper from Minecraft. Anyway, basically the lawsuit alleged that Aptera infringed upon 2 patents. Remember before, the court was like, yeah, do a better job of making your arguments. And so in this paperwork, they basically did that. Speaking of Zaptera, basically they filed the things, and then the court was like, most of these are stupid except for a couple that we will hear. Aptera said, hey, please don't hear these. And they were like, no, we're going to go ahead and hear them. So they set an online hearing, like a Zoom hearing, basically, that they are going to postpone for like 2 or 3 weeks while everybody, I guess, prepares or what have you. So that's the long and short of the update, I guess, to what is going on with Zaptera, or the Zaptera lawsuit. It is chugging along about as fast as tree sap. Yeah, and it will continue to do so. All right, so this is something that I have always been a fan of when it comes to Aptera, and I've always wanted to try it, so I'm really glad that Steve Fambro decided to post this. But he basically says Aptera is the only vehicle you can park at an airport and come back with more than what you started with when it comes to your charge. I cannot wait to try that. Although I do not know how many airports I'm going to be frequenting with this current air travel situation. Yeah, we're not going to dwell there, but yeah, it's really cool to see this. Okay, so this article, when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of hilarious because Aptera, it's so interesting to see the practical applications of how intelligently Aptera has been positioned in this market. They are just the right amount of car and just the right amount of motorcycle to move between the lines of most of the difficult legislation that has been put together in order to more or less make the bigger automakers kind of the default choice. Yeah, basically, California wrote out their HOV lane exceptions for electric vehicles, so now all electric vehicles except for Aptera and maybe some other e-motorcycles or something like that can use the HOV lane because, yeah, that law is now gone. So it's cool to see. I like the picture that they chose here. Of course, it shows Aptera in the HOV lane. But yeah, it's good news that the people that get the Aptera and live in California will still be able to use the HOV lane. Yeah, it's just really neat to see how intelligently Aptera was put together and how much their overall design makes them the exception and not the rule. I wonder if it is possible that they planned this out in the first place, or if this was just like a happy accident. Yeah, that it just seems like it could have been on purpose, but it would be a really interesting happy mistake. Well, or perhaps I should say unintended consequence. Anyway, yeah. Alright, on to my least favorite section of this video. Yeah, I'm not necessarily a Tesla hater, but I am an Elon hater, so I can't even deny that. He's kind of horrible right now. Anyway, basically Tesla has been expanding into Japan, and they decided, you know what, we're going to make our presence 40 different service centers larger. It is interesting that they are expanding and having some success in Japan, especially considering how adamant the Japanese government and large auto manufacturers, Toyotas, the Hondas, and all that kind of stuff, were so against electric vehicles as a concept there. Of course, I understood economically why that is, because they are very dependent on the infrastructure that is gas-powered vehicles. And so they were trying to make sure that that infrastructure didn't go away by way of them completely changing out how their automotive industry works. I get it. The fact that this Tesla is being successful there, or trying to become successful there, is surprising in a way that, in my opinion, kind of bodes well for Japanese automakers actually getting into EVs in a serious way, instead of the compliance cars or the back-ended lobbying that they try to make sure that all of that stuff is going to become a bit harder for those companies, those Japanese companies, to do. But I still think it's going to happen for a few years until Tesla proves itself to be fairly popular there. Kind of like how in America, when we first got Tesla as a company, everybody was like, that thing over there, it's a cute little concept. It's going to be dead in a couple of years. Yes, there were people that said that about Tesla, just like they're saying it about pretty much anybody else who jumps into the automotive industry from jump. They were right about most of them, but Tesla, they were not. Anyway, I feel like Tesla's going to be underestimated the same way that they were in the U.S., and then they're going to go over there in Japan and kind of, sweep, clean up, do work, and then Japan's going to take EV seriously too. That's my projection. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but we'll see. Moving right along, one thing that made me think that there's a reason why Tesla was trying to push so hard to get into Japan. They have a record of 50,000 unsold EVs in inventory. They have not had that many vehicles unsold since they began as a company. Now, is this a bad sign? I wouldn't say a bad sign. It is definitely worth spending more time and thought on than the happy, fluffy news that they're sharing in their earning statements and things like that, their investor briefings and stuff like that. But I wouldn't say that this is necessarily a bad sign per se. Yeah, that's basically all I had to say about that. They have a lot of unsold vehicles, and yeah, I think we have a fair amount of idea as to why some of that could be. But yeah, just wanted to make that clear that is a thing that has happened. And yeah. All right, so for the first thing that I liked, I am nothing if not a wannabe mathematician. I am always the type of person to go looking for fun mathematical puzzles, and this particular post kind of scratched that itch in the sense that it showed a whole bunch of fun mathematical patterns and truths and proofs about different things like pi, for instance, in this particular section of the video. It is so fun to see this kind of well-animated, interesting video that has math principles that people can understand and be a part of. Like, now you know these things implicitly because as long as you can understand pictures, you can understand the math. Now, if I were to put this on a page, people would probably glaze over and get lost pretty fast. But the fact that this is a thing and allows people to understand different little pieces of the puzzle, here I am kind of getting distracted and watching it again. It's cool. I love this kind of stuff, and I wish I were more in the know when it came to the types of things that make this information so hard to ignore in this particular form. So anyway, yeah, I thought this was really cool to watch and I would watch it a million times over if I didn't already have a pretty good idea of what all these things meant and that kind of thing. But yeah, for those of you who are not math people and like pictures and that kind of stuff, then this video is for you. Go ahead and check it out in the description. Okay, so I read this and instantly got curious and confused. I've always been the type of person to kind of wonder if there was something I was missing with respect to trees in general. And that thought process came about because I noticed that the ground around trees didn't sink in. Like it didn't it didn't start disappearing or being sucked out by the tree. And I always kind of wondered what in the world that was about, because trees are huge and I figured the hugeness came from the ground. Come to find out that more or less trees get huge like they are by taking the CO2 out of the air and eating and ingesting that and making that the structure of the tree. So it's not water because water's not structural. It's not the dirt because the dirt's obviously not disappearing. Some scientists were curious about this. One specific scientist was curious about this and did an experiment, precisely measured dirt and planted a tree seed in that dirt and just kind of watched the system grow and weighed the system afterwards with just the tree and just the dirt and found out, wait, the dirt only, he only lost like a gram of dirt, but the tree is obviously a tree now. So yeah, he did studies to figure out why that was, and come to find out that trees are pulling in the CO2. The CO2 content in the tree comes directly from the air, and the air is the reason why the tree gets so big. It's a fascinating concept, and one that filled in a childhood curiosity of mine that I've had kind of nagging at me for the entire time. I just didn't have the wherewithal to go looking for that answer until one day this particular article just kind of crossed my path. So yeah, really cool piece of information. One of those things that I liked, and yeah, one of my favorite pieces of information that I've ever gleaned in my lifetime, because it was one of those things that I was really just mentally shaken up about when I was like 9. So good to have that answer. Yeah, fun times. All right, that will do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am the Ninjaneer. If you guys were wondering, this video is being recorded at 8:30 at night because I am forcefully shifted to a different place in my job, and I have to work day shift now. So now that I'm working day shift, I have to record the Friday nights before, which means these videos are going to be a little more loopy for a while, because me at night, like nighttime Jeff, is a little bit loopier than early morning Jeff that's super focused and on point and stuff like that. And then I immediately thought about my bloopers, and I'm like, I don't know how focused I am in general. Yeah, so guys, thank you so much for watching. I am once more the Ninjaneer. If you guys like this video, please do all of those YouTube-y things, including the hype button now. Yeah, thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you next time.